He was not born great. He did not come from comfort, wealth, or influence. He was not protected by privilege. He was not chosen by luck. In fact, fate seemed to ignore his existence completely. Cornelius Vanderbilt entered this world in poverty. One room, dirty floors, a family that struggled to survive. There was no time for dreams, no time for school, no safety net, no inheritance. Only reality, and reality was harsh. By the age of 11, he left school and picked up a shovel. While other children were reciting lessons in quiet classrooms, he was lifting crates at the ship docks of New York Harbor. His classroom was the wind. His teacher was survival. People like to say success begins with belief, but that is not true. For Vanderbilt, success began with hunger, a hunger so sharp it erased excuses, a hunger so strong it replaced fear. Hunger, in its purest form, does not need motivation. It moves on instinct. At 16, Vanderbilt made a decision that would change his life forever. It was not a glamorous decision. It did not make headlines. It did not look like destiny. It simply looked like work. He borrowed $100 to buy a small ferry boat. No investors, no safety, no roadmap. Just one boat and a mind that refused to wait for opportunity to arrive. Vanderbilt understood something most people never learn. If you wait until you are ready, you will wait forever. While others hesitated, he moved. While others thought, he acted. While others doubted, he attacked. He ferried goods and people across the New York waterways, faster, cheaper, and more reliably than anyone else. Was he the smartest? No. The richest? No. The most experienced? Definitely not. So how did he win? He discovered the law of relentless momentum. Success does not belong to the talented. It belongs to the consistent. Every day he moved. Every day he advanced. Every day he showed up. Momentum became his ally. And momentum is powerful because it multiplies effort without increasing resistance. Small wins became bigger wins. A single boat became a small fleet. A young boy became a name. People started to fear in business. But when someone begins to rise, something predictable happens. Opposition appears. Not from strangers, but from the comfortable, from those who stayed in place, from those who hate motion, because it reminds them of their own stagnation. Competitors mocked him. Elites ignored him. The wealthy dismissed him. But Vanderbilt had no time for their opinions. Because opinions do not build futures. Work does. He worked in storms. He worked sick. He worked when there was no profit. He worked until the river knew his reflection and the wind knew his name. He did not have talent on his side, but he had movement, and movement beats talent when talent refuses to move. Lesson 1. Wait for permission to begin. Every great life begins the moment a person stops asking, "Is this the right time? Do I have enough? What if I fail?" And replaces it with, "I will start with what I have. I will learn along the way. I refuse to stand still." Momentum made him dangerous, but discipline made him unstoppable. Most people rise a little, taste small success, become comfortable, then stop. Not Vanderbilt. Comfort disgusted him. He believed comfort was a silent poison disguised as happiness, and he feared it more than failure itself. He expanded fiercely. More boats, better routes, faster schedules, ruthless efficiency. Where others saw obstacles, he saw angles. Where others complained, he adapted. Where others said, "It cannot be done," he simply did it. People began calling him the Commodore, not because he was given the title, but because he earned it. His name became a force, a signal of speed, reliability, power. But the higher he climbed, more enemies he created. The elites who once ignored him now feared him. Established shipping companies formed alliances to crush him. Port authorities tried to block him. Lawyers attempted to bury him. Newspapers called him reckless, dangerous, uneducated, a man who did not belong among the rich. They were right about one thing. He did not belong among them. He did not want their approval. He wanted their market. When he was betrayed by partners, he did not complain. When competition became cruel, he did not whine. Instead, he developed one of his most powerful mental weapons, emotional silence. the ability to act without being controlled by emotion. He did not argue. He did not defend himself. He simply outworked and outmaneuvered every enemy in silence. Silent focus became his warfare. Lesson 2. Your enemies are not obstacles. They are fuel. Average people get emotional when opposed. Great people become sharper. Conflict does not weaken them. It transforms them. As Vanderbilt's power grew, so did his ambition. He began to realize a truth. If you want to go from success to domination, you must shift from ambition to strategy. So he began studying, not just boats, but systems. He studied geography like a general studies war maps. He studied trade routes like arteries of money. He studied laws, politics, timing, and leverage. He evolved from a hustler into a strategist, from a worker into a commander, from a competitor into a winner. And then he made a bold decision, the decision that would change the direction of his life once again. He would leave the water and enter the land. America was expanding. The age of railroads was rising. Trains would shrink distance. Trade would explode. Cities would bloom from nothing. And Vanderbilt saw it before others did. He sold most of his steamships and moved aggressively into railroads. People said he was insane. They said he was too old. They said he was risking everything. But they were right. But what people did not understand about Vanderbilt was this. He never feared risk because he always backed his risk with preparation. He did not gamble. He made calculated strikes. He took control of key train lines. He bought weak lines and made them strong. He built new routes that dominated regions. But that was not enough, because there is always a bigger game behind the game. He discovered it, the choke points of power. Not all railroads were equal. Certain lines were keys. Control them, and you control the flow of commerce. Like arteries in a body, who controls the arteries controls the life. So he did not try to win every battle. He won the important ones. And in just a few years, he controlled access to New York City, the most powerful trade hub in America. Lesson 3. Do not fight every battle. Win the battles that control the war. Now he had power. Real power. Quiet power. The kind of power that does not need to speak, it just decides. But at the peak of his empire came his greatest test, and it did not come from the outside. It came from within, his own greatest weakness, pride. And pride has destroyed many men. At the peak of his success, Vanderbilt made mistakes. He trusted the wrong people. He entered business with men whose only loyalty was to money. He was betrayed by those he helped. Cheated by men he made rich. Even his own family, those closest to him, turned against each other over wealth. Victory does not protect you from life. Even legends bleed. In his later years, Vanderbilt faced something he had never feared before. Not a competitor, not failure, not even death. He faced regret. Because there are two kinds of success, the kind people admire and the kind that costs everything. He had conquered industries. He had moved nations. He had bent commerce to his will. But he had to confront a painful question. What is the value of success if your soul is empty? And so, the man who built an empire with relentless action did something unexpected. He softened. He grew wiser. He became quieter, not weaker, wiser. He began helping build universities. He funded education. He created opportunity for future generations who would never know his name. But he knew. Lesson 4, power is nothing without purpose. Ambition builds, but only purpose completes. Cornelius Vanderbilt died as one of the richest men in American history, but his story is not about money. His story is about mindset. He began with nothing. He built everything by movement. He transformed through pressure. He outlasted doubt, fear, and limit. He was not born powerful. He became powerful, and so can you, because the truth is, the world does not belong to the talented. The world does not belong to the lucky. The world does not belong to the chosen. The world belongs to the relentless, not to those who wait, not to those who wish, but to those who move. Most people never fail. They simply never begin. If you want to change your life, stop waiting for motivation. Stop overthinking. Stop asking for permission. Build momentum. Move every day. Become relentless. Not tomorrow, not next week, now, because your future will not wait for you, and neither will greatness.